Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, the prescription for Red Raider rushing success in Week 3.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And thanks as always for making us your first listen. Today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money and use our code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you. One step closer to a non-conference finale, Oregon State, fitting the description of the next potential victim for the Red Raiders, and going to get to a couple of different things involving the outlook for Week 3 on today's episode, including, before we get out of here, a question from a mobster relating to a statuesque figure in the LBK he noticed last time at Jones Stadium. But I want to get to some thoughts from internal and external viewpoints for the most part involving a specific position group, and that being one that's been often discussed for some obvious reasons, the ball carriers. And when you're trying to fill shoes like Taj Brooks left vacant, obviously that was going to be a focal point regardless of other storylines that came to fruition, like losing RB1 prior to the year, just as one example. But Chris, as we've come out of now 2 weeks where you've had some flashes of some really exciting things there from some young guys, maybe even some unexpected guys. There's also been some struggle in some situations. We talked about that over the last couple of episodes, short yardage specifically. But I was kind of interested to hear, it sounded like, some perspective internal within the program as it relates to what's been going on there that maybe is a little bit different, believe it or not, from some of the fan reaction that we've heard recently, including what actually was sent in and shared by a Matador Mobster. Shout out to our guy Peyton, who was sharing some numbers that regarded Jacoby Williams as one of the top 5 running backs grade-wise over the first couple of weeks in the nation. He also spotlighted by his head coach as somebody that he really liked through the first couple of weeks. I want to get to him and some thoughts on Cam Dickey early on, but I'm not sure that the outside view is lining up necessarily with maybe what's being looked upon as a positive situation so far internally. What do you feel like it's shaping up to be?
Well, obviously we have kind of wondered about this aspect of their team, this group, the inexperience and some of the questions that we kind of tossed about over the summer months. And really, I think we've continued to do that. It's just funny because good or bad, I don't think you can really make any definitive statements after what we've seen. Jacoby Williams and Cam Dickey have played the first half of these games, the end. Adam Hill has played the second half of these games, the end. So you don't really know yet. I think we can talk ourselves into, okay, this is, and we've hinted at some different things that we think we like or don't like or whatever, not just with this group, but with everybody on the team. But I think it's important to note, look, Jacoby Williams is going to be that change of pace guy. I think he runs really hard. He's going to smile when he does it, but when he tries to roll by you and then dunk on you or whatever he's got going with that athletic, freakish activity that he's involved in at the time, he's going to do it 100 miles an hour. And I think that you see some of the explosiveness. I mean, he's averaging over 7 yards a carry. I think Cam Dickey, we have talked about maybe the blitz pickup in week 1 that he didn't get all the way over there on was largely the only thing that the coaching staff had an issue with in the first one. We talked about maybe some of the goal line stuff with him in the second game and in the limited carries that he had. But again, some of that's not his fault. And then we'll get to kind of the things that they're trying to improve upon. These are small glimpses. But Mac Leftwich was like, Cam actually played a really good game. You may look at the stat sheet and say he's got this many carries and just 11 yards and a couple of touchdowns and all that, but he actually did all the other things. And that's what we're going to have to be better at or trying to figure out is like all the other stuff that comes with playing this position. Catching it, picking up the blitz, doing the different things. I actually saw Coach Leftwich. He ran a two-back set play where he had Cam Dickey as, I think, a lead blocker and Jacoby Williams coming in motion, and all that was a bit of a different wrinkle than we had seen. So, because these are three kids that are basically going to be, I'm talking about Adam Hill too. They all came in here together. This is two true sophomores and a redshirt freshman. They all came in here together, and it's their spot. And it's crazy because the one that we haven't talked about yet is the second leading rusher in the Big 12 Conference. I want to make sure that everybody knows this. Adam Downhill.
You gotta love it.
Yep. That's right.
You gotta love it. I wanted to ask you something similar to kind of what you were touching on there regarding Dickey about Williams. I was wondering if it was fair to assume, whenever Coach McGuire was asked about some guys that had stood out to him early on, I think maybe he chose 3, 5, I don't know, a handful. But I thought it was interesting. Jacoby Williams was one that he did highlight, and Jacoby's had some really nice plays. Nothing that I don't think is like extraordinarily flashy versus what we had already seen last year. So it sort of stood out to me that he mentioned Jacoby in that group. Is it fair to think that has to be made up a lot from what he's doing when the ball's not in his hands also, that maybe we're not all seeing or not all noticing in some of those situations where, he is called to do the other things that Taj Brooks and others were so good at. I don't know if it was all about what he's done with the ball in his hands. I guess I was assuming that if he's worthy of highlighting like that from his head coach, he must be kind of painting a pretty good picture in a complete way so far.
I just think he plays so hard. And I think that, it's an effort thing with him, which is why he just jumps out, and he's smiling all the time when he's not trying to do mean things to people or run by him on the football field.
And he's smiling when he's doing that too fast.
Maybe. And ultimately, we're all kind of, this is the part. Jacoby has a direct correlation into what sucks about Quentin Joyner's injury. There's a direct correlation into us being cheated a bit, Kenny Perry being cheated a bit, Jacoby Williams being cheated a bit, because had Quentin Joyner been healthy and been what we thought he was going to be, you would have seen Jacoby Williams manufactured touches in the slot, as a punt returner, as a kick returner. And I think right now, a lot of that is just very limited because you can't afford to put him in harm's way unless it's like, okay, chips are on the table, boys. We got to go win this thing. Let's just roll the dice. Because I think this was how – because, I think Kenny Perry would love to be utilizing him in some aspect as a returner. But you're going to have to pick your spots there. And I think that, remember, back in the spring, Jacoby was like, hey, he's a running back, but maybe some slot. Maybe he's the jet sweep guy. Maybe he's but like we're gonna figure out ways to draw things up to purposely get the ball in his hands. And I think a lot of that has been taken away from us and Jacoby, just because they simply cannot afford to put him in harm's way more so than what they would like to do, just because he's so very valuable as just now a pure running back. And that part sucks.
The job description's all changed with that injury to 1,000%. And you ain't the VP anymore. You can't be running around eating ice cream. We got to have you here, Mr. President. It's changed. Things change. Right. Nothing stays the same. Right. So as for week 3, I've got a certain prescription. First, today's episode brought to you by Mazda. And Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive. And that's what makes Mazda stand out. They go beyond safety, style, and performance to deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every detail. And with Mazda, your family's safety is number one. And that's why Mazda's won more 2025 IIHS Top Safety Pick awards than anybody else. And Mazda offers more than safety with smooth handling, intuitive controls, and standard all-wheel drive in every crossover SUV. It's the small details that make the big plays. And just like there's more to every player, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's episode brought to you by 5 Hour Energy, and it's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape ginger and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost, making it a hole-in-one for your energy game. When you're out on the course, or if you're needing just a little extra push anytime to power through your day, 5 Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Visit 5HE, that's 5FIVEHE win.com for full rules and entry. 5HEwin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. As for week 3, I mean, I've got a certain prescription. I'm looking to the big guys and saying, bigger holes, ready, break. What are they talking about with the ball carriers specifically, though, Chris, to maybe help be a little more impactful or more productive, maybe more consistently, whatever it is, as we roll into this one with Oregon State?
I think it's pretty clear that a coaching point with Garrett McGuire, with Joey, with Josh Cochran, with Clay McGuire, whatever, anybody associated or loosely associated with the run game and the schemes and all that, and the guys carrying the football. Patience. Because I think that I think Cam would tell you, on the goal line scenarios, I was too anxious. I didn't let it play out just yet. And I think Jacoby has said some things about just, I've got to just let it. That's the hardest thing for running backs, other than pass pro and all that, is to not get it and then go. I mean, you're just trained to, hey, go fast and go hard and play, and with your hair on fire and all that stuff, go find somebody to run over. But that's the beauty of what Taj Brooks was so good at, is that it's almost like there was these Zach Morris Saved by the Bell timeouts called, and it's like, okay, this is all in slow motion, but he's letting a guy set up his block. He's trying to figure out where that guy is coming from and to set him up, and then he's going to use it against him, and then here we go. And it's it was beautiful, and he was a master at it. These two
beautiful
young men.
Analogy too, by the way. And a reminder, Zach Morris should have been a better ball carrier. Real disappointment in that area.
I don't disagree with you.
That's a great description. And it's sort of unfortunate he had to get so good at that or have so much practice, because a lot of times he was dodging something maybe in the backfield, but he became so good at kind of patience and regathering himself before getting downhill. It's a true art, I guess. But I like that, because that's probably something that will mature with only time. You can't really replace those reps or those carries or whatever.
And to be fair, Jacoby had a handful of carries last year. It was Cam's first year last year to play running back. He was a quarterback before that. And he carried it and, some QB power and all that kind of stuff. But and then you even look at it now. They've played we're 2 games in, headed to the 3rd, but they've played the equivalent of just the 1 game. Just because you can't, and again, you're like, hey man, you got to come over here and sit with me. I mean, I'm looking over there, and in any other scenario, Jacoby Williams would be playing into this game, well into it, in the first 2. But I was on the sideline, and I'm like, he's like the starting quarterback type deal. You can't afford it. You've got to, put him on ice and get him through. That's just the where you're at with these rascals. So, but patience. So just in the moment, and it's easier said than done. You get it. There's all the people, everybody's coming at you, but can you just pause for just a second and then see where it takes you? Let your guys do their thing in front of you. And I think Cam and Jacoby both would say at times they've been too guilty of not letting it play out like it needs to. And that's just going to take a little bit of time. So anyway, but that's an interesting coaching point to make.
They're only one part of the equation. Any feel for the messaging up front? And I know we've talked a lot about we're still competitions are ongoing. So it could be some different guys being a part of, I don't know, producing something different than some of the, say, the short yardage struggle. Or, in going back, I was rewatching just a piece of the ball game the other night. And I don't know if I focused in enough on how disruptive, one Kent State defensive lineman was. I thought was really getting after it on a second watch that I noticed more so. But what did they make of, I guess, maybe not getting the push, or where's the messaging with the offensive line this week?
Yeah, and was that pass rusher? Was it like number 5? Was it a single digit player? Do you remember?
I was thinking of 50 something or a 5. There was a 5. There's a nickel.
Okay, yeah, because we talked about this in the broadcast, but there was he's not listed as a starter, but this was somebody that Texas Tech was clearly aware of because he played really hard and all that, and so
talk about a rascal.
Yeah, not surprising that you mentioned him. There was very few players that they were like looked at and like that were impressed by, but he was definitely one of them, and we noted that on the broadcast. I think offensive line wise, it's still are we blocking it up right? Are we on the same page? Are we identifying the front correctly? Again, this is large. Other than Sheridan and Davion. And even that is still not just like it feels like it's been that way for a while, but it's really not. Everything else is different, large in part. And so I think that I think Clay's largely pleased with where the direction that you're headed, but room for improvement. And then still, have we ultimately identified our 5? No, I don't think you have, and I don't know exactly what that looks like. I don't know when the final score there comes. I don't know when you. But I think you're because your rotation, if anything, it's not shrinking; it's expanding. It's unique in that. I think that because it was shrunk and largely in August, and now you're getting into the games and they count, and now we're expanding this rotation a little bit because I haven't heard of in maybe I'm forgetting somebody, but I don't think that you've gone into a game offensive line wise where you've kind of thought we're purposely going to rotate a right tackle in here because he's earned it and all the things, right? And I think that they're openly talking about we want Jacob Ponton to feel that pressure and feel that competition and all that. A lot of times for a young player, I think Kenny Perry would be the first one to tell you too, like with his kickers, I'm waiting for one of them to mentally fold. I'm like, okay, then, like which one of them won't be able to handle it? And so that's what this team has been put together to do. And it sounds harsh, and you really don't want anybody to mentally fold at the end of the day, but that's where this competition is. Only one spot. You got 2 very talented people, regardless of position, and like who wants it the most? Who's going to be the most consistent? Who's going to put a variety of days together? But this is where we are with the offensive line. I mean,
it's a harsh game. Harsh moments, big spotlights. There's a reason they break them down before they go to war in the military. I mean, not to compare the two, but some of the same thought process, I guess, as far as having it be that way. So, hope that type of pressure does produce something Diamond-esque. And
did you think
that way?
What was the movie where
G.I. Jane?
No, the Pile when he called him, Private Pile. Yeah, but it was the movie when the guy he like in the it was a military movie, and it was they broke that poor guy down so much that he pulled a gun and shot everybody.
Full Metal Jacket.
Yes, Full Metal Jacket. I couldn't pull it, but I was like, yeah, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if I could handle.
Well, you probably would have been a model soldier, not needing such harsh instruction.
Touche. That's very fair. But yeah, Full Metal Jacket. Yeah, the opening scene in that movie, a bit disturbing for a younger Chris Level. But yeah, that's right. I was like, man, Sarge, can we have a hug, man? Like, you're being really mean to me. You're yelling. I'll clean my gun. I'll get a toothbrush and clean the floor. But yeah,
a great recruitment ad for the psychos out there, though, that we're thinking that looks like fun.
Yeah, this
Maybe
is
that's
right.
what we're looking for. I don't know.
This is right.
It was a harsh time. Okay, didn't mean to get off on that tangent, but thank you for your service. Chris, I do think the question is, before we leave that topic of an expanding offensive line rotation, the question is it expanding because you're really having some good stuff, pushing with some of these late arrivals, or is it expanding because there's some disappointment with some of the frontline guys so far? I don't. First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet only $5, and if your bet hits, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. Play your props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Any way you like it, FanDuel has you covered, and it's quick, easy, and secure every time. Ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all the money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it can be easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. You're going to love the all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money today. Use our code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com and our code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for half off your first year. Topic of an expanding offensive line rotation. The question is it expanding because you're really having some good stuff, pushing with some of these late arrivals, or is it expanding because there's some disappointment with some of the frontline guys so far? I don't know. I don't know if we can know, but do you have a feel for that?
No, this is very much because you've got guys that are getting healthier. They're older. They're talented. I think there's some senses of urgency. This should all be good. This should all be a good thing. I just can't envision it or look at it in such a way where like, oh man, no, it's not. It's really ideal, I guess. I mean, just because I think you constantly keep the pressure on people to perform and to get better and to improve, or watch out, somebody might take it. And a lot of these guys have the eye of wanting to kind of play into the future after this year. And so, and this is part of the conversations with NFL scouts is, well, how's he handle it? How's he handle that part when you test him, when you break him down, when he didn't get to start? Did he crawl in a hole and shut down? Did he work harder? I mean, all these, it's all about context, right? I mean, so I think that's why it's and hopefully Texas Tech offensive line and just team in general, because this isn't just happening with the O-line. Hopefully the team in general is better for it.
Sure. And didn't you just say yesterday, though, I think accurately, it is a unique among a couple of groups where you want to have your known dudes and get them to melding and gelling sooner rather than later.
And that's one of those positions to where it's just typically you get it set because it takes some communication and chemistry going there. And before we move on the running backs too, because I know we were talking offensive line there. Like if you talk to Jacoby and Cam, I think it's like they light up talking about Adam Hill. And I love that. There's nobody in that stadium that has had more fun watching Adam Hill wreak havoc and just dish out punishment on the opposition than the two other running backs in that room. They I think that is wildly fascinating because it's just ironic that you have this team that was put together. We know the dollars, we know the portal class, we know all the age. And here through 2 weeks, you got this unknown walk-on from Albany, Texas, the second in the conference in rushing. And everybody loves him. And he plays hard, and maybe he was going to be a linebacker. Maybe he still will be a linebacker in time. But he's become he's earned a lot of street cred in that locker room. But like the guys that are playing, they both would tell you, we see it in practice every day. Not a shock to me. I just like that he's doing it to somebody else because I wouldn't want to get out there and tackle him. And I'm here for it, man. So I hope he gets a hold of a Beaver or a Ute soon. Speaking of, the Utah people that's quite a lot going on there. We seem to have ruffled I'm not sure what a Ute is really, but we've ruffled whatever that they use to fly.
A Ute, I think, had feathers to ruffle, mostly hanging out of the hair. So that's an apt description. Shout out to my guy, Ray. Love your mountain town and the backstory as well. As we roll into week number 3, I just got to say, we do have a whole lot going on. I don't have any more time for Utah Thoughts this week. We got Beavers to concentrate and focus in on.
Touche.
Of course, the game to get ready for at 2:30 on Saturday. So sorry, Utah. We'll circle back to you in a few days. Chris, as we look ahead to this one, still plenty more to get to here this week. And I want to get to some comments from some Oregon State leadership as far as a perspective on our Red Raiders on our next episode. But before we wrap up this one, I told my guy to ask about it, Lance from the Matador Mob, asking about, if you don't mind, indulging us in anything you know about rumored sightings of a nation's number 1 prospect. This one, United States of America. LaDainian Guyton in the LBK? Was that for real?
Yes. So, again, for folks that follow recruiting, you're going to know who this is. For folks that just follow Texas Tech recruiting, you should know who this is. This was the massive announcement, a month ago or whatever it was, that you got this young man from from Savannah, Georgia. He picked you over University of Georgia and Florida State and some others. So I had been told by somebody very pertinent that had seen this young man in person at a Tech camp on campus in late July or mid-July, whenever Tech was having their camps and stuff like that for prospects and young kids and all this stuff. And I had somebody call me like that afternoon and go, I just saw what I think is one of the best high school players I've ever seen. And you kind of go, yeah, sure, whatever. and then I'm like, who was it? And then I looked him up. I'm like, well, damn, you might have been right. I'm like, maybe he was. Other people think so too. So I saw he was here with his quarterback, Stephen Cannon, who's committed, and Guyton is now committed. He was sitting in the front row. I watched after halftime. I watched Sheil Wood go over and dap our man up, and we did the bro hug thing. And I'm thinking to myself, that's probably a guy Sheil Wood needs to go say hello to. That's probably wasn't the first time they'd said hello to. But I saw what this looks like, and this is like birth certificate type dude. Like, I don't believe that you're 17, sir. I don't. This is what these kinds of players just look different. I don't, and it should excite you greatly if you're a Texas Tech fan, because this is what the LSUs and the Ohio States and the some of these schools have they always have these types. This is fairly new, and you're trying to make it more normal, because you have guys on the varsity, okay, right now. I mean, your portal class, Romello Height, David Bailey, they look different, and this was a younger version of this. And so I appreciate the question, Lance, because I don't want it to be ho-hum that the number 1 player in the country from Savannah, Georgia, just showed up to watch you play Kent State in an 11 a.m. game. That is not normal. And so neither are his arms, because if there was a store where I could purchase some, I would be there tomorrow with money in hand going, yes, I'll take the LaDainian Guytons, please. But anyway, so yeah, Lance, guns all the way up. And he literally was like, guns up. I mean, he had it, the whole thing going. So there you go. That's
good to hear. Sounds like he was passing the ocular Chris level physical 1,000%. Fitness assessment.
Yeah.
Send his ass
off the bus first, man.
5 stars is what it sounds like
yes.
To me, and maybe even the top of that list. All right, Chris, appreciate the time and perspective as always, man. Enjoyed it. And don't get down on your guns. You got fine guns yourself. All right. I want everybody to feel empowered in their bodies today. Number one prospector otherwise. We'll see you for the next one.
Bang, bang. Yes. And suns up, guns up, that whole thing. Yes. Yeah. I'll work on it. Get
subscribed. Go at your own pace. Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thanks to the everydayers for always riding along, of course. Appreciate you. And, of course, the Matador Mob as well. Shout out to Lance and Peyton as well for spurring on some of this conversation today. Hit our show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial. If you're interested in joining that crew, that's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time. We hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.